Hello there. Welcome back to my channel. It is Dr. Anonymous. Today we are talking about an energy crisis and how one vitamin can transform your life. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning and you feel tired. You go to bed at night and you want to sleep. You're driving through the day with very little energy. You're taking a nap. You're crashing. What is going on? The problem is not that you're not getting enough rest. The problem is not that you're eating wrong or you're exercising wrong. You know, I like to think about our body kind of like a car. Okay, and so your body is this amazing machine. Now, let's say you have a full tank of gas. That's like if you're sleeping at night and you're not waking up tired, okay? If you have a full tank of gas, but you don't have a spark plug, the car isn't gonna go anywhere. Well, that's kind of the way our body works. We can eat all the right foods, we can sleep all the right hours, but if we don't have this one key spark plug, which is vitamin B12, our body isn't going to be able to convert food into energy. So that's really what we're talking about here. We're talking about a lack of energy. You may have no appetite. You may not be gaining weight, but you're just tired all the time. Or you may be gaining weight and you're just tired all the time. And that doesn't make any sense. Why would someone gain weight and be tired? But those are two different symptoms of the same problem, a lack of B12. So let's talk about the science here. Vitamin B12 is going to take the food that you eat, okay, that you spend all this time and effort and money on, and help your body convert it into usable energy. It helps our brain and it helps our muscles. In addition, it is intimately involved in the formation of red blood cells. So, if you're low in B12, you're going to have a hard time making red blood cells. And that makes sense, right? Because you're gonna be tired if you don't have enough red blood cells. Red blood cells carry oxygen to all the tissues of your body. So, when you're low in B12, you're gonna have problems converting food into energy. You're gonna have a hard time making red blood cells. And again, that goes back to this symptom of being tired all the time. Now, I remember the first time I became aware of this problem. I was doing some research on a completely different topic. And while I was doing that research, I realized that there was a link between a lack of B12 and something called homocysteine. And homocysteine is a risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Now, you can look this stuff up yourself. I'm just kind of telling you what I found, but the research was very clear. If you replace the B12, then the homocysteine comes down. And if you have high levels of homocysteine in your blood, you are at risk for heart attacks. So that's another thing to think about when you're thinking about B12, not just for energy, but also for cardiovascular health. Let's talk about the symptoms here. I already mentioned fatigue, but I want to mention that again because that is the hallmark symptom, the main symptom. You just feel tired all the time. Now, that can mean just general fatigue, or it can mean something more serious, like you want to lie down all the time. It's almost like you feel like you have lead weights pulling you down to the bed. You just want to lie there. The other symptom is pale skin. Now, that can happen because of a lack of red blood cells, but also because of a lack of energy. If you're low in B12, you're going to have a hard time making red blood cells. And that's going to give you a symptom of pallor. You know, if you look at someone who has anemia, their skin is pale. And that's what happens when you're deficient in vitamin B12. The next symptom is depression. This is very important. There is a clear link between depression and a lack of vitamin B12, and even people who have taken vitamin B12 injections for other reasons report lifting of their mood and a feeling of just general well-being. Now, here's something that might surprise you. When you're low in B12, you're going to have problems with your memory. You're just not going to be able to concentrate. Some people describe this as brain fog. So if you find that you're having trouble concentrating, you're having trouble remembering things, you might be low in B12. All right, the next symptom is tingling in your hands and feet. You know, if you had a drop of water on your finger and you spread it around, that drop of water represents 100% of the sensation in that finger. But if you were to take half of that drop of water and put it on the tip of your finger, that would represent 50% of the sensation. That's how we sense touch. That's how we sense pain, temperature, all these different sensations. They come from the bottom of our feet and the tips of our fingers. And so, if you're low in B12, you're going to start developing a tingling sensation. Some people will even develop numbness. And when that happens, if you're an athlete and you're trying to play football, you could get injured because you don't feel the pain coming on. And if you're driving a car and you don't feel the brake pedal because of this numbness, you could crash. So it's pretty serious stuff. Now, where do you get B12? You get it in eggs, you get it in fish, you get it in dairy products. Now, if you don't eat those things, you might need to consider a supplement. You can get B12 in a supplement form. You can get it in an oral form, or you can get it by injection. If you are considering taking a supplement, I would recommend that you get a blood test first so you can actually prove that you're low in B12, because sometimes we have a tendency to just pop pills even when we don't need them. So, if you're going to take a B12 supplement, make sure you need it first. And the best way to do that is to check your blood levels. Now, if you don't have insurance or you don't have access to a lab, there are at-home kits that you can use. And I'm not recommending any particular brand, but they are available online. And you can collect a sample, send it off, and they can tell you whether or not you're low in B12. Now, I do want to mention that there are certain medications that can interfere with the absorption of B12, so you need to watch out for that. Proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, they can definitely block your ability to absorb B12, so just keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you're a vegan, you're probably going to be low in B12 because it's primarily found in animal products. Now, there are some fortified cereals that have B12 in them. So that could be an option for you. Just read the label and make sure that they have enough B12. Alright, now here's the transformation. You add B12 back into the picture. It's like adding the spark plug. You're gonna have energy again. You're gonna have the ability to power through your day. You're gonna have the ability to see your family and enjoy your family and live the life that you want to live. You're gonna have the energy to pursue your dreams and accomplish your goals. Now, I just want to end this by saying I am not telling you to go out and buy a B12 supplement. I am telling you to check your diet. I am telling you to talk to your healthcare provider. These are things that you need to do, but don't just live life. Power it. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel so you can stay informed about upcoming videos. If you have a question about your health or nutrition, go to my website, click on Ask a Question, and I will personally answer your question. Until next time, this is Dr. Anonymous reminding you to keep your head up and your face forward.